there you go. Some context for you and some cheer as well. The expectations are looking good, even from the perspective of the CIO's office. So that's something to look forward to. Now, we thought we'd have a thematic conversation today, since it is the festive season. Why not get you a sense of how to ensure that Lakshmi visits your home this Diwali? And there are a few things that you should do as well in preparation to invite her into your homes. And I've called Vishal Dhawan, founder and chief executive officer of Plan Ahead Wealth Advisors, to give you some sense of that, because he's successfully had Lakshmi come to his home and his client's home also over the last several years, haven't you, Vishal?
Oh, absolutely. A happy Diwali to you and all the viewers.
Wish you the same. So what? It's not a trick. It's a checklist. And so, what would you put on that checklist?
So it's very important to understand that financial prosperity is actually a very process-driven approach, and Lakshmi will invariably follow if you sort of go about it in a very structured manner. So number one is spend with intention. I think it's very important that you track the money you spend. You also spend whatever you do very mindfully. So be aware of how you're spending. Ensure that you spend that money in a way that it adds value to your life. So you don't spend because people around you are spending in a certain way, or people are presenting certain things at a discount to whatever is the price that it normally was available for. It needs to add value to your life, otherwise it's clutter. Number two is do invest before you spend. I think the natural tendency is to first spend and then invest what's left over. The classical formula needs to be a reverse, which is you first invest whatever you need to, maybe it's 30% of your income, and then you spend whatever's left after that. So it's therefore investments are non-negotiable habits, not leftover outcomes of spending. Number three is look at your credit scores very carefully. Try to do things that improve it, because at some point it does make sense for you to use leverage as well to your advantage, and you need a good solid credit score to make that happen. Number four, review your portfolio regularly. And there's a certain regularity which is important. It doesn't require a review every day. At the same time, fill it, shut it, forget it does not work, in our opinion, in the real world. So I think every 3 to 6 months, you do need to sit down and look at your portfolio and see what is happening in there. Number five, have an emergency fund. I think emergencies are exactly what they are. They come in unannounced. Have at least 3 to 6 months in a liquid format so you can get access to it in case of an emergency. Number six, get enough coverage. Life insurance, health insurance, assets that are valuable to you, maybe a house, are very, very critical for you to get insurance on. Maybe with the world that we live in now, even cyber insurance has now become an important thing for you to consider. Number seven, do not forget that prosperity grows when it is circulated. So please ensure that you invest your time and maybe your money, or maybe whatever works for you, in causes that align with your values as well, because that goes around ultimately and helps you. Number eight, avoid following trends or just emotions. I think all of us are emotional, but I think the more you're able to structure it and think through why you're making certain decisions, the more likely that you can protect against impulsive choices. And last but not the least, read, listen, stay curious. We do believe that financial literacy is the most modern form of wealth consciousness. And I think that's a very valuable thing for you to keep up with if you want Lakshmi to come in to your household on an ongoing basis.
And a shameless plug at the end of that, Vishal. Therefore, to that last point, keep watching Your Money Matters on NDTV Profit and listen to learned individuals like Vishal Dhawan. But having said that, let's talk about the tendency to also go out and spend. Vishal, a lot of people do that, and there shouldn't be guilt around the festive season when you're doing things to make yourself and other people around you happy. Is there a way that you can ensure that you can do a guilt-free Diwali season?
Oh, absolutely. I think, festivals are about bringing joy. They're not about creating financial stress. So I think you want to find the balance between spending and not spending as well. So first of all, decide how much you want to spend at an overall level, and then divide that amount across categories. So you may be wanting to gift people, you may be wanting to travel, you may be wanting to eat out, you may want to do charity. I think if you have a plan saying that this is what is available to me and this is how I'm going to apportion it, I think it helps to control impulses and still feel satisfied that you've done what you needed to do. Even as you do this, you can keep a small joy fund, which is essentially for those sort of spontaneous treats, because you don't want to feel like everything that you do in your life is to a plan, and therefore have that limited amount of money into this joy fund bucket, which you can use in the way that you want to. Uh, be careful about how you spend on your credit cards. It's very, very tempting. You have those limits available to you. Avoid overspending because it will create financial stress later on if you end up overspending without thought. Um, Lastly, do try to have some learnings from the celebration this year. So, what will happen is the season will end. At that point, you will figure out what exactly happened. Spend a little bit of time reflecting on what you spent too little on, what you overspent on, how did you feel after those events? Because when you do this deliberately, it's very often a good idea that when you get into the same exercise next year, you will have your own experiences that you will put into play as you think about spending guilt free.
Mm. Yeah, it's like eating too many kaju katlis, right? Vishal, you know while you're doing it that you may not be doing the right thing, and then you realize a little too late sometimes if you're not thinking about what you're eating. And if you plan in advance, you can time it, right? You can decide, okay, on that day I will definitely have some kaju katli because I know that my aunt makes the best kaju katli in the world, or my mom. Having said that, let's talk about another thing that Diwali is known for, rather the season is known for. It's the closing of books and starting of new chapters, and it's a great time to, because you have the time as well, to declutter a little bit, to go into your investments, to go into your financial portfolio and say, okay, these are things that I don't want. You can clean out the cobwebs, so to speak. Any advice there?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a great time to do it. Like you rightly pointed out, there is time very often available to do those kind of things at that stage. And it does give you new energy and a new resolve as you go forward once you've done that. So our first suggestion is, look at the number of bank accounts, credit cards, investment folios, etc., that you have, because over a period of time, these accumulate and the need to declutter becomes very high. Our suggestion is not more than two bank accounts, not more than two credit cards, and try to keep the number of investments that you have to a level where you can manage and you can remember exactly where you've invested, rather than struggling through saying that, I have 50 stocks, 40 mutual funds, all of that, and I don't remember the names. Look for areas of weakness in your portfolio. Again, be deliberate. Just because something has not performed well doesn't mean it needs to go out of your portfolio. At the same time, something which has performed well in the more recent past doesn't need to find its way in, but do be deliberate about it. Think about what role it's playing in your portfolio. Look at your mutual funds, look at your insurance policies, look for adequacy of insurance. Is that the right choice in my portfolio today? Versus what it was maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago, because many of those decisions that you made in the past may have been right at that point, but may not be right today.
Mm.
Try to digitize things because there is an ability now for everything to go electronic for you, and you need to have updated nominations, for example, a will which is updated. All of those are really important things. And last but not the least, set up your goals for the following year. Be realistic in terms of what goals you're trying to invest for, what you want to achieve. Look at how your SIPs, for example, align to your income levels and your expense levels, and therefore you now have that robust plan in place where you now have the clutter out of the system and you have this new energy on the other side. So all of this works together to give you that energy for the new year.
Yeah, on that note, Vishal, thanks so much for joining in. Pleasure speaking with you as always. And once again, happy Diwali.
Thank you so much.
All right, that brings us to the end of this special edition of Your Money Matters. Tell us what you think in the comment section, and don't forget to stay tuned to NDTV Profit.